Hey everyone, I want to make a quick video here that goes along with this week's lesson. First of all, if you haven't found our website and you're just seeing this on YouTube or somewhere else, I want to encourage you to check out these16things.com, where we will send out lessons, 2 lessons a week, both on the same topic. The goal is to be able to help you teach your kids how to live on their own. And that's everything from being able to cook, take care of their finances, to defend themselves. And in this week's lesson, the case of this week, it's keeping your kids out of dangerous situations and helping them to recognize those dangerous situations to stay out of them themselves. What I want to talk about this week in this video is a specific instance, or multiple times people put themselves in these bad situations and let something continue over and over. So where I went to college, which I'm not even going to say the college name right now, that doesn't matter, but in the last couple of years, some stuff has been coming out about I think it was just the track or cross country coach, I don't know for sure, but either way, he had been molesting and raping some of the girls on the cross country team. And what was going on was, I guess sometimes in this it was consensual, and then sometimes he was raping them or just molesting them. And sometimes I guess it was during when other people were around, and he was maybe, which even this is inappropriate, but massaging their legs to work out cramps and things after workouts, or doing some sort of treatments on them, and other girls were around and he would molest them right there with other girls around. Other times he would have them come back to the physical education center when maybe, hey, show up at 9 o'clock tonight and I will, rub the cream on your legs or massage your legs to work out the cramps, whatever it is. And all of those, of course, we're sitting here like, really? Why? We can all recognize that immediately. That's a bad situation. Why are you putting yourselves in it? But I'm assuming that these girls, when they're actually in it, it's harder to see. Plus, from what I understand, the coach kept telling them that if they would just keep him as the coach, allow him to continue coaching them, that at least a couple of the top 1 or 2, he was trying to get them to the Olympics. And he kept holding that over them like, hey, let me keep doing this and I'll eventually get you in the Olympics. So again, sometimes it was consensual, sometimes it was molesting or raping them. And I already mentioned a couple, but one time he's putting, from what I understand, again, I read through some of the court documents, he, in front of the other players, whether he's massaging them, whatever, working out the cramps in their legs, and will start molesting them, and they're sitting there crying in front of the other girls. So not only it's this girl it being done to, but the others are witnessing. Other times, like I said, they tell them to come back at 9 o'clock at night when nobody's in the building, and they'd go into this dark room, and they said they knew what was going to happen when they went into the dark room, and they would just start crying and go walk right in. And again, we look at this and think, why would you put yourself in that situation? But maybe they were just so deep into it that they didn't even know how to get out of it. Or maybe they just wanted to be in the Olympics, so they didn't want to think about the other stuff. But obviously now it's come out. They're working on all it's going through the courts, and I've quit following it now because it just got kind of ridiculous. But what they're doing, or I guess what I want to talk about here, is helping your kids understand and recognize to stay out of those situations. Don't fall for the trap of, I want something out of this, so I'm going to let these people older than me, or even if they're the same age or younger, it doesn't really matter. That doesn't, but I recognize the bad situation and stay out of it. So these girls all knew, in the case where he's molesting someone in front of the entire team, I'm just going to say 10 people. I have no idea. Could have been 2 or 3, could have been 15. It doesn't matter. However many there are there, they all should have been able to recognize that this is a bad situation. This should not be happening. Let's get ourselves out of this, or let's help our friend get out of this situation. So they have to recognize that. In terms of going into this room where he's going to, in quotes, massage their calves to work out some cramping or whatever, at 9 o'clock at night when the lights are off, and he turns in, or he eventually just rapes them in there, and they don't ever say anything, they don't do anything until, of course, way after this, and they finally all get together and do it, which is good that they finally got together and said, okay, enough is enough. But that should have happened the first time. So as far as what I'm going to teach my kids is never to be in that situation in the first place. If the first thing happens, whenever the first thing happens, you get yourself out of that situation, you tell someone there. No matter what happens there, I want my kids to be comfortable enough to tell me what's going on, and I will take care of that. I will get them out of the situation. But I'm not always going to be there. They have to be able to recognize those situations as they're happening. So sit down with your kids, talk to them about these situations. It's okay to use real life situations because this actually happened. I read through a lot of the court documents. This is it's disgusting what all went on, and to be honest, that the girls just let it go on and just let it continue. I don't know, months, years. I don't know exactly how long it went. I had to stop reading it because it was horrible. And I guess I want to say, I'm not blaming the girls in the situation. It is clearly, this guy was manipulating them by telling them things, lying to them. It's clearly his fault. He's a criminal. From what I understand, he is going to jail or is in jail. I've stopped following it, but these girls, let's say it happens once. It's a thing of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So they recognized that it was happening and they continued to put themselves in these situations. So again, I want to teach my kids the very first time you get out of that situation, you call someone, you will get it taken care of immediately. And that's full stop. If they do make it past that, which again, I hope my kids never do, I want them to recognize that. But if they do, I always want them to feel comfortable with calling me to help them out of a situation. So sit down with your kids this week, talk to them about staying out of these dangerous situations. And this is sexual assault. I want to talk about, the kids going out late at night, going out and walking down our road like our last video. Obviously, my kids weren't doing that. That was all sarcastic, but I want them to stay out of all dangerous situations. It's not, it's not right, I guess, or not, you should not be going, the south side of Chicago. You don't want to be walking around there at dark. A lot of these big cities, obviously there's common areas where it's okay, and if there's a lot of shopping or a big sporting event, whatever, but don't get off on these side streets. Don't get out in these areas where there's not a lot of people. And even that, I guess, other situations, don't be out at parties. Teach your kids that, it may be fun, but that's where a lot of bad stuff happens. If you're in college, your kids are in college, maybe not go to these frat parties and stay out late. Maybe not be drinking a bunch and then not know, I guess, not really be aware of what's going on. And your decision making is different when you've been drinking a bunch. It's, again, recognize staying out of that. And the first step is to not be drinking a bunch at the party in the first place, not just once you have to get out of there immediately. So again, talk to your kids. You are the ones, you as both parents, whatever, are the ones that are going to be able to help out these kids to recognize these bad situations. And they're all different, so we can't give an example of every single situation, but I guess my point is just talk to them about these dangerous situations so they can start to recognize them.